Welcome back to Basics. So this is the final episode of Season 2 of Back to Basics, and I'm going to do this a little different. So we're actually going to talk a little bit about what's happening here and what's happening in the future and other series while we're doing this one. So you see me launching a craft. This craft is going to Eve, and it's taking Tati, Dunray and Kimfred to Eve. Now Tati is our pilot. She's done some stuff before. We've got a lot of wobble on it. There's a lot of wobble on this craft for a few reasons. You probably figure them out in a minute. Anyway, they're going to go to Eve and they're going to do some science. The idea is just, you know what, we're going to end the season where we did our first mess up, and yet we're wobbling again. I originally, that's crazy. That's how I've not got a headache, I don't know. I originally decided to make a single craft to go to Eve, because I thought it'd be more stable compared to the Red Horizon and its wobbleness. But actually, need more struts, I think, would be my vibe. So this is our craft. You will see it has a massive set of fuel tanks at the back and a load of nuclear engines on the back. So because I'm being lazy, I want lots of thrust, and nuclear engines are not particularly thrusty. And you see there, I sort of ejected off some components that were stuck to the top of the craft. This craft has some habitation rings that, well, sort of rings, they're sort of squarey rings. They counter rotate because, you know, we need to start caring for our Kerbals a little bit. So the whole point of that was, let's see if we can do something a little different. So I constructed those. If anybody would like to see how I did it, I'm going to put a video up on that. I might stick it down below or something. So anyway, this is our little Eve craft. We've got some solar panels, we've got some thermal regulation. I wanted it to feel like it was actually going to be a proper sort of science mission. This is not going to land on Eve, okay? Oh, that's not the plan anyway. But it was just a case of finishing off the series with something a little different, and I like the idea of using the motors and things for doing some artificial gravity and whatnot. You can see I'm playing around with them, trying to figure out how best to use them, because anybody that's in the top artificial ring there is now splattered to the surface. They're actually quite interesting once you actually figure out how you want to work with them. They are quite nice. There you go, I've got them sort of set up now, but they do induce a little bit of wobble in the craft, and the craft does sort of settle down after a while. Right, so we're orbiting Earth, and we're going to do our burn to Eve, and it's not a massively difficult burn. It takes a while, but this craft can do it really quite easily. I've stopped the artificial gravity while we're under thrust because, you know, thrusting while got things spinning, you get gyroscopic effect, and I did not think that was going to be a good idea. So this craft will go to Eve. We're going to do an aero brake as we come into Eve, because, you know, I haven't done that much, and, you know, it's something I want to try and work on. So I'm going to do some aero braking, and I think, you know, of all the planets, Eve's fine. You see I got an intercept here, and it was quite a distance from Eve. It was away from it, but I thought, you know what, we've got oodles and oodles of fuel, that's not going to be a problem. So, you know, usual me, I went, yeah, let's just go for it. We speed through time, and this bit is significantly sped up just because it takes so long. Now Eve is one of the nearer planets, so it's not so bad. So we come towards Eve, and I noticed that my actual sphere of influence change has vanished. So I start to move around. I start to get maneuver nodes involved, and I'm like, right, how can I do this? And I start to think, I'm going to have to go into pretty much an orbit matching Eve's. Now, that isn't a massive problem. It does waste the fact that I wanted to do an aero brake, because my relative speed to Eve will be very similar when we finally do meet if I do this. And I try and range it, and then I'm sort of, it's going to take a year, 2 years, 3 years, and I think that's just too much. And then I have another look, and I'm like, right, well, what if I just aim at Eve? And, well, you can see I'm still playing around with the idea of, can I get into a similar orbit? How long is that going to take? And then I start, right, if I burn just towards Eve, yeah, I can actually just straight now get into the sphere of influence. And once I'm in the sphere of influence, I'm happy. And it took almost nothing to do this. In reality, while I was preparing to do this, Kerbal Space Program did its usual special thing of, it actually put me into the sphere of influence track. So if I'd have jumped back now to the map mode, it would have actually shown me that I was about to enter the sphere of influence. You can see there, it's actually it's already showing me I've prepared to do a burn, and yeah, it's already in the sphere of influence. So now I'm sort of wondering, we'll just do a retrograde burn, because I want to actually come near Eve. I can, get it. My periaps is so high up, it really, using the Oberth effect is really pointless. Good thing is Eve's really big, so it doesn't take much fuel. The bad thing is that all that beautiful fuel that I brought with me, that I thought I had loads of, I start to get worried about at this point, because I actually want to bring this craft back. It doesn't have any docking ports on it. It's not designed to do anything special like the Red Horizon. It's not designed to detach and send things away. Oh, it does have docking ports, but it's not really. I was undecided as to whether I wanted to leave it or not. So I could leave it, but it's not really supposed to be a space station. It's more a case of the docking ports were there in case I wanted to add fuel later on. I could send a craft if I run out of fuel to come and refuel it. That's not a big issue. But I want to basically condense this episode down and finish everything that's ongoing. And this is our last mission for this series. So I start to think, okay, we're definitely going to be aerobraking at this point. Definitely going to get some aerobraking on, and I'm going to be quite vicious with it. I'm also quite scared of Eve, if I'm entirely honest. So I don't want to put my craft too near Eve or put too much sort of energy through it. I know the atmosphere of Eve is very thick. I don't know how thick. I know it's very thick. I know the amount of delta V to get off Eve is massive because of its gravity and its thick atmosphere. I also know its atmosphere starts significantly higher than Kerbin's. And this craft, whilst being sort of streamlined at the bottom with the nuclear engines, that artificial gravity ring at the top, I'm not looking forward to it actually getting involved with things. I did consider just turning it into a space station, I will be honest, and I probably should have gone that route looking back. I should have just gone, you know what, we're just going to leave you in orbit. What annoys me is that I didn't actually set it up in a really good way to be a space station, but probably a redesign would have been a good idea. I think doing this mission again, which I probably should have, yeah, I would probably redesign this craft significantly. So anyway, we're coming in, and I've decided, right, we've got into a semi-orbit, and I've used quite a bit of fuel up, and I'm like, right, let's just save some fuel. Let's save some fuel, because I might still be able to get back with this fuel. And in my head, I'm doing the maths, and I'm like, all right, okay, amount of energy to eject from Eve, and okay, it's a possibility. There is a possibility at the moment in my head that we can still get back. However, this craft's actually not designed to land on Kerbin. It's designed to aerobrake at Kerbin and then send someone up to get the crew. It's never designed to land anywhere. It's got no parachute, which is a problem. So I come in and we do our first little sort of aerobrake pass, and I'm thinking at this time, right, oh, it's worrying. I'm going down to about 80 kilometers. I think 81 was what I was aiming at, and I was concerned. I was like, oh, if Eve grabs me, it's a nightmare. Didn't do much at all. So I went round again, and it was fine. It was absolutely fine. I was loving it at this point. I'm losing a little bit of speed. I'm doing a bit of science. This is brilliant. A little bit of reheating there. I'm like, okay, move on. But there's no major issues. I'm actually feeling quite confident. What I do notice is that we're probably not going down. We're not losing altitude on our apoaps as quickly as I'd like. And I'm starting to think this video is going to get really quite tediously boring. And so I take it down a little. I used a little bit of the RCS and whatnot, and brought that periaps down just a little smidgen, just to get a little bit more energy on. I didn't notice at this point that my actual electric charge when going through the atmosphere, and you may have just seen it, at some points goes really low down. In part, that is because I folded away all my big solar panels, so I just have some static solar panels on the body of the lab that is providing electricity. So yeah, when I'm going through here, the reaction wheels in this craft are obviously fighting quite hard. And interestingly, it's setting up a rotation in the habitation modules. There's something offset that the atmosphere is catching. Obviously, there's a differential between the density of the atmosphere from one side to the other. And it's triggering, just when there's a slight angle in the craft, it's triggering the habitation module just to spin. So I'm just going to speed this up a little bit for you, just so you can see we do quite a few passes. I don't want to go too deep because I am a little well aware of it. And we just keep going round, nice round, We're getting a bit of reheating energy sort of up there with the heat's building up, but you know what, nothing major, not big issue. Craft's fine. I do notice that some of the engines and solar panels are maybe a little warm, and I'm thinking, okay, we're getting down there, we're getting to a nice altitude. I'm thinking a couple more passes and this will be brilliant. This will be brilliant. A couple of passes, that's what we want. We just want a couple of the passes. And yeah, so we're spinning around, we're doing all that stuff, and you get see every now and again we get that rotation in the crew cabins, which is interesting. And we just keep going around, and this is a perfect example of wasting an afternoon, because this is sped up sort of 900 times, and notice we've gone a little too deep now. And the heat's built up and we're starting to get a lot of spin. Now, I'm trying to decide at this point, do I want to pull out this? Do I want to use my nuclear engines to actually do something about this? I don't have a lot of energy left. I don't have a lot of delta V. And we're surviving. Do not time warp when you start spinning. I get paused there because that is a brilliant view, I thought. I hope you like that. I did not know what was going on there. So I was like, right, okay, reset, think about this. We've time warped through. Let's just see, we'll just go in, and at this point I was thinking, right, I'll maybe do 1 or 2 more passes. Just get that final bit out. I've pushed it pretty much as far as I can, I think. We don't want to push it anymore. That's what's going through my head. I don't want to push it anymore. I just want one final blop of energy out there, because I've at this point resigned myself to the fact this craft is probably going to stay around even. I'm going to have to send a recovery craft, and I'm like, oh, I don't want to do another episode of this season. I want to move on. I want to get something different going. So yeah, I decide to just pretty much do a couple more dives. So this is what you're going to see. I've slowed it down because of what is about to happen. So while this is happening, though, the future of this series and this channel. So this series, this is the last episode, I said at the start there. I think going to Eve, where we had our biggest failure with our comm system at the start of this season, is a nice sort of ending to it, getting a bit of heat there. Oh, something popped off. I think that was a solar panel. We're fine though. We'll be fine. It's not a problem. Not a problem. Oh dear. Yeah. We're not coming back up as quickly as I would like. Yeah. This could be a problem. I'm sure it's fine. Oh, yeah. Things start to go crazy. You see that? Yeah. We've just lost a load of speed and we are in the atmosphere. Now, you will notice I have lost most of my engines. I think I have 3 engines left on this craft, possibly 4. I have lost control. In the olden days, I think the nuclear engines used to have gimbal. They do not have gimbal anymore. I have not turned on the gravity rings. That is the atmosphere. At this point, my guys are going to hit the surface of Eve. So, I am trying to create as much drag as possible. I need to lose weight, lose mass, and increase drag. And I'm pretty much consigned at this point to thinking that Tati, who was one of our great pilots that came along after the stranding of Jeb on Mun, Tati is probably going to die. Dunray, you know what, first mission, and Kim Free, first mission. This is a problem. The craft at this point is hanging in a really odd position. Now, I then start to notice that our speed is dropping. Now, the engines are firing because I'm just trying to lose mass more than anything else. I don't expect them to do anything for us. I know we're spinning around, and in an ideal world, the craft would point so the engines were downwards and I'd be able to use them to brake, but that's not going to happen. Interesting though, we are slowing down, and this is something to remember about Eve. Its atmosphere is so thick that a craft like this is actually slowing down. Now we're coming into the oceans. When I first started playing KSC, this would mean death, but water's a lot better now. So, oof. Now hold on a second. We're controlling the craft, but those pods are still in the water. Our guys were in the habitation rings. Are they alive? I don't know. I guess we're going to have to find out in Season 3.